Hi everyone, it's Miss Kessling. I am going to start introducing Chapter 7, which is on the human body system. Lesson 1, which talks about the transport and defense systems. This is going to be kind of a long video, hopefully not too long. I hope I can get it done in the 1 15-minute video because we talk about a lot of different body systems in this lesson. Please make sure you pay attention to this lesson because next week you are going to have a research project where you're going to choose a body system and you're going to have to do a slide presentation answering some questions about your system. So some key concepts you need to know by the time you're done, or will know by the time you're done, are how do nutrients enter and leave the body, how do nutrients travel through the body, and then also, how does the body defend itself from harmful invaders? Now, if need be, when you go to do the review assignment tomorrow, you can use pages 230 to 241 to help you with this, okay? All right, so first of all, the human body is organized. All living things are organized. That was one of the characteristics of life, is that they all are organized into cells or a single cell. Now, with organ systems, in multicellular organisms, they are organized in this way. Cells make tissues, which you can see here. A bunch of cells make tissues. Then tissues make an organ, so like the stomach, for example. And then organs join together to work and make an organ system, which then in turn, all of this makes an organism. So the reason why this is important is because your organ systems help you maintain homeostasis. So the biggest way, we talked before that when it's hot, your body sweats to help maintain homeostasis. So as you can see with like exercise, for example, if someone is playing like basketball or running, your body is trying to get rid of that thermal energy, that excess heat inside, and so it's sweating to try to cool you off. The organ systems help with this. So we're going to start with the first organ system. This is probably the most well-known organ system, which is the digestive system. So first off, digestion, the word digestion. So what digestion is the process, I should say process, of course you know I'm going to have a typo, by which food is broken down. So the process by which food is broken down. So how does this work? This whole thing, this whole picture is what your digestive system looks like. So first, digestion starts in the mouth. So even though you wouldn't think of the mouth being part of an organ system, it is. And the reason why it starts here is because of saliva. Your teeth chew and grind up that food, and then the saliva, or spit, contains enzymes that help break down that food. So really, digestion is starting in the mouth. Now, if you want to do a little baby kind of demonstration of how this happens, take a piece of bread and chew on that piece of bread for a while. Don't swallow it. Just, I'd say, chew on that small piece of bread for about, I don't know, a minute. You'll notice that it'll start to taste kind of sweet. That's because the digestive enzymes in your saliva are actually breaking down the carbohydrates in the bread, which is actually going to produce a simple sugar. So or complex sugars. So those carbohydrates are actually going to start tasting sweet. So when you are chewing the bread, you'll start noticing a sweet taste. Then once the food, or the bread in this case, goes into your mouth, it's going to go into the second part of the digestive system, which is the esophagus, right here, this long tube. Food and liquids enter the esophagus, which connects the mouth to the stomach. So nothing really happens here in terms of digestion. It's just where your food travels down into your stomach. Third, the food enters your stomach. Now, the stomach is a flexible organ. It has to be flexible because depending on the amount of food you eat, it has to be able to expand. And then the stomach also contains some digestive enzymes that help break up the food, just like your saliva. So inside there, the food, as you can see in this picture, there's some like yellow mush. There's like juices inside of your stomach that are helping to digest any food that enters from the esophagus. Then, from there, you have a soupy mixture at this point, which enters the small intestine. So at this point, the food is now kind of soupy, and it's not so much resembling food at this point. Most of the nutrients are absorbed in the small intestine. So more digestion occurs here. It requires bile and other enzymes from the liver in the small intestine. Let me just expand down a little bit. Oops, too much. Fifth, one second, let me fix that. Fifth, after, oh boy, hold on, time out. All right, so after the small intestine, you probably have kind of maybe figured it out. The food goes into the large intestine. So that's this part right here, this actually thicker looking intestine. So it sits in this area for hours in large intestine. It actually then goes from the large intestine and enters the colon. This is where a lot of the waters are absorbed. And then from here, you can see it travels through the intestine, through the large intestine, until finally it is going to exit the body, which we'll talk about in the next organ system. Because exiting the body is not the digestive system anymore. Digestion is just breaking down of that food. So at this point in the small intestine, that food no longer resembles food. It's more of like a solid mush, which will then come out. So then the next one is the excretory system. So excretion. Excretion is the process by which substances are removed from the body. So once your digestive system digests it and it's pulled out all the nutrients needed for energy and survival, the excretory system gets rid of that waste now, that extra stuff. So that's what the job is. It is the job of the excretory system is to remove solid, liquid, and gas waste material from the body. So the organs that are involved, there's a lot of organs involved in the excretory system, are these guys. So we have the lungs. The lungs, even though it's not a liquid or a solid, it is a gas. The lungs help get rid of the gas that you take in. You take in oxygen and let out carbon dioxide. So the lungs help get rid of carbon dioxide and excess water vapor when you breathe out. Then you have the skin. The skin removes water and salt when you sweat. So these little tiny pores that are in your skin are like that, so that when you sweat, when you're hot and getting rid of, this is part of maintaining homeostasis, you're getting rid of that excess water and that excess heat through the process of sweating. So that would be a liquid that your body is getting rid of. Then this one is your liver, which removes waste from your blood, so your bloodstream. This is where the liver is important with getting rid of any kind of toxins you may take in. Then you have your kidneys. So your kidneys help remove urine. They actually help clean out your blood and your urine. So the kidneys have a function not only with the blood, but also the urine that you produce. Then you have this kind of bag-like organ, which is your bladder. Your bladder is a flexible sac. It has to be flexible because it has to be able to expand when it's full and get smaller when it's empty. And this is the one, that stores your urine. And then lastly, you have this little organ, which is the rectum, which is the one that stores the that mush of food from the digestive system, the feces, and then eventually it pushes its way out of the body. So yeah, that's an interesting system. It's full of a bunch of organs, and it's kind of a gross one, but it's absolutely a necessary one. If you didn't have the excretory system, you'd be in big trouble. You got to be able to get rid of those toxins that build up in your system, whether they're a liquid, gas, or a solid. All right, moving on. The next two you've probably heard of, especially maybe this next one, is the respiratory system. So the respiratory system deals with breathing, taking in air and letting out carbon dioxide, or taking in oxygen, I should say. So the job is to exchange gases between the body, the inside of the body, and the environment. So what happens is the excretory system, when you breathe in, you're supplying the body with, it's not working for me, there we go, with oxygen. So you're taking in the oxygen from the air. It goes down in through the trachea and the trachea and the bronchi, and then it goes into your lungs. And then what happens is, after it's in your lungs, you breathe out and remove carbon dioxide. Now, in the respiratory system, you have these little things on your lungs, these little like almost little capillary looking things on your lungs called the alveoli, and not ravioli, alveoli, and they help with, how come my mouse is not working, guys? Hold on. There we go. Transporting oxygen to the rest of the body. So when oxygen goes in, you can see it goes through these branches, through these bronchi, and then to the alveoli, which then transport the oxygen throughout the rest of the body. Now this is a really important little organ right here, or muscle I should say, called the diaphragm, not to be confused with the diaphragm on a microscope. But what this guy does is it expands and pushes in. So when you breathe in, your lungs fill with air, and this diaphragm comes down. It actually pushes down to give room for your lungs to expand. When you breathe out, that diaphragm actually pushes upward and helps push that air out of your lungs. So the diaphragm kind of goes up and down as you're breathing in and out. So this is where kind of like when you get like if you got punched in the gut or something and you get the wind knocked out of you, it has to do with your diaphragm. It kind of goes into spasms and you kind of have a hard time catching your breath. It's because of it's not being able to or it's kind of traumatized and it's having difficulty pushing the lungs up and out for breathing in and out. Okay. All right, the next one is the circulatory system, which the job, I'm just going to make this a little smaller for a second. The job of the circulatory system is to transport nutrients, gases, and waste through the body. So the parts of the circulatory system are the heart. The heart is constantly working. It's constantly pumping. It's the strongest muscle in your body. And it's pushing and pumping oxygenated and unoxygenated blood through your body, through all these other little parts of the circulatory system. These are the veins and the arteries, which are also help make up the circulatory system. And obviously another part of the circulatory system is the blood, because that's the whole point of the circulatory system, is to transport nutrients and gases through your blood to the rest of your body. Now, we talked before that the circulatory system is, the heart is constantly contracting. It's working nonstop. That's why it is actually the strongest muscle in your body. It is a very strong muscle. We've talked about that before. Now, the difference between arteries, veins, and capillaries is pretty simple, but they're kind of a lot alike as well. So arteries, the way I always learned it is A for away. Arteries carry oxygen-rich blood away from your heart. So arteries, the blood is carrying oxygen and it's going away from the heart. So this is where once your blood is oxygenated and full of oxygen, the arteries carry it away, which then helps carry that oxygenated blood to the rest of your body. Whereas veins are the opposite. They transport carbon dioxide rich blood to back to the heart. So when it goes to the other organs, the veins carry it back to the heart, which then pumps it to the lungs to hopefully get more oxygen when needed. And then we have capillaries, which this is kind of a long one. These are the tiny little vessels that stem off of the arteries and the veins. You can see them right here. So here's like an artery and a vein. And then you have these tiny little capillaries that then transport oxygen and CO2 to the rest of your body. So these go to all the other parts of your body so they can make sure they get all the nutrients they need. And then we have the lymphatic system. This system is dealing with your immune system. So this is the one that contains the tonsils. So you have your tonsils are part of this. The tonsils help fight infection. You also, the tonsils are what gets swollen. Like if you ever are sick, they'll feel your tonsils underneath your neck kind of. And sometimes if you're sick, you'll have like a swollen feeling under there. This also consists of the spleen. And I'm going to stop there for a second and pick this up because I'm out of time. So let me stop there and I'll pick up and finish the last part of the lymphatic system on on a second video.